Stanley Park is a magnificent green oasis in the midst of the urban landscape of Vancouver. Tourists travel from far and wide to explore this 400-hectare wide park, but it's here in Vancouver's most famous tourist attraction that a wildfire could ignite, with one expert warning that rising temperatures and drought conditions make this rainforest a prime candidate for a natural disaster.
We're in Stanley Park, the largest urban park in Vancouver that attracts 8 million visitors each year. It's known for its 10-kilometer seawall loop and the 500,000 cedar, fir, and hemlock trees, which is also one of the reasons why one expert says it could go up in flames. It's been another season of raging wildfires here in BC, and we're not yet out of the woods. How is the climate contributing to the rise in wildfires?
We've noticed in British Columbia an increase in atmospheric temperatures. What that does is dry out our forests, all our vegetation, but our forests in particular, faster than they would otherwise. And this is appearing to occur over a longer period of the year. So we're seeing kind of the initiation of almost summer-like conditions often in late April or early May. And they can extend right into even almost through October. So you're talking about half the year when you have conditions that typically dry out vegetation.
So most of the wildfires we've seen in BC are further into the interiors and further up north, but could we see a wildfire here in Vancouver?
I think we could. You know, our forest is also drying out on the coast because we've had so little rain over the course of this summer and last summer as well. And the forest floor is pretty parched. Trees are getting stressed by the lack of moisture.
Could a wildfire start here in Stanley Park?
Certainly, if we have very dry, prolonged dry conditions such as we had last summer or the summer before during the heat dome event, the forests are primed for burning. And all it takes is a spark, essentially, to get a fire going that might be difficult to control. Lightning strikes aren't really the issue here that they would be in the interior, but we do have people that can trigger wildfires. So you have a causeway that goes through Stanley Park, and I hate to say it, but people smoke in their cars, and you know, if they discard a cigarette that they think is extinguished, it could light a fire in the forest.
And so we're walking in Stanley Park right now. Tell me, what about this area makes it prone to wildfires?
You see all the standing trees. You see a lot of debris off to our right here that's dead stems and branches, all sorts of woody debris that can be the material that starts a fire, and then it gets propagated into the trees, rises up the stems. The trees are pretty closely spaced in here, so a fire can propagate from the crown of one tree over into another tree.
Looking around here, what are some of the risks you see that could pose a threat in a wildfire?
Well, if we look, for example, at the forest floor, you'll see there's a cover of flammable material. There are cones, there are seeds, there are branches. There's a lot of kind of debris that is inherently flammable, and you know, that can be the initial material that starts a fire. It might be a cigarette butt kind of mixed in with that material on the forest floor that actually creates the start point. I want to show you a tree that poses a wildfire hazard over here. So Cecilia, this is the tree I was talking about in Stanley Park. This is called a hemlock, and this particular tree, like many of them in the park, is dead. And it's dried out, and it's highly vulnerable to burning if we get a wildfire in the park. Most of the trees in the park are conifers. A lot of them are hemlocks, some are cedars. There are a few other species, but they're pretty densely packed, and many of them are dead. And because of that, I think it makes our wildfire danger here higher.
Do you think Vancouver is properly prepared if a wildfire were to happen here?
I don't think we've thought enough about that possibility. You know, we have standard fire suppression capabilities through our numerous fire halls, which are strategically placed through the city. But those are commonly in place to deal with individual structural fires. They're not really set up to deal with wildfires. So I sometimes wonder, in the event that a fire gets out of control in a park setting, I don't think our current capabilities are adequate to control that. In the case of Stanley Park, it's almost downtown. So we really ought to be looking at the ability to get boats in that can spread water on forest. Now, I think we have to worry about that because we are priming our forests for wildfires, and we need to kind of come up with different strategies for responding to one if it actually happens.